Newsroom.
This is the newsroom for Thursday, July 24, 2025. We're broadcasting to you on E1, SKAR TV, NTN, and TARZEE TV in Bartica. In the headlines, Jagdeo says a secret alliance aims to drag the PPPC below 50% and warns supporters not to fall asleep.
They're hoping for a repeat of 2011.
Sanctioned gold dealer Azruddin Mohamed vows grand plans if elected, but stays silent on the how.
Persons with disabilities will receive $50,000 a month. And also the persons receiving the public assistance grant will get $50,000 a month.
A grieving family wants answers after young Reyna Depeazer life was ended by a stray bullet. COP30 President André Corrêa to Lago tells Guyana while climate talks must put people first. And in sport, water safety takes limelight at Lifeguard Certification program, and West Indies star players set to compete in Essequibo leg of T10 Tapeball Blast. With the news, I'm Kurt Campbell. Thanks for joining us. First up, Vice President and General Secretary of the governing People's Progressive Party Civic PPPC, Jagdeo, is warning supporters to remain vigilant against what he describes as a master plan by the opposition and US-sanctioned businessman Azruddin Mohamed to drag the ruling party below 50% in Parliament. Jagdeo made the comments on Thursday as he highlighted accusations of quiet backdoor deals between APNU AFC and Mohamed, who was sanctioned by the United States last year to weaken the PPPC at any cost.
Mohamed serves their interests, him being in the race, because he could bring the PPP back into minority status. They're hoping for a repeat of 2011. You know 2011, the PPP won the presidency but did not have the majority in parliament. And thereafter, the country suffered. We had gridlock, nothing moved. You couldn't move anything in parliament. It became like just it's not just gridlock, but the pettiness that went on in parliament. The country practically ground to a standstill in that period when Ramatar was president. It started going downhill from there because the party could not get its agenda implemented. Every time you present a budget, they would cut the budget, cut out money for UG, for hinterland airstrips, for Amerindian development, for everything, because they wanted the government to look bad at that time. So Parliament really controlled the executive. That they're hoping for a repeat of that. It's not going to happen because we have done our polls and we are going to do extremely well in the elections. But it just tells you about the behind-the-scenes collaboration between these parties. They are collaborating, they're quietly, but their public statements, sometimes the careless statements, betray the collaboration.
We tell you now that US-sanctioned businessman Azruddin Mohamed Thursday revealed his party's plans for election to office. But on Wednesday night, he gave snippets of those plans, except not saying how he will get it all done. At a meeting in Part Faith Harmony, West Bank Demerara on Wednesday, US-sanctioned businessman Azruddin Mohamed insisted his political movement is not about him, but about the ordinary Guyanese. Yet still he leaned on his familiar rhetoric, opening with talk about corruption and victimization.
5 years of victimization. And most importantly, Adriana Young is from Region 3.
Many of the pledges he made were spoken of at his Linden meeting recently, and much of it mirrored talking points that the APNU coalition is championing as another opposition party seeking the seat of government. Mohamed's promises included massive pay rises for public servants, larger pensions, monthly stipends for persons with disabilities, slashed land prices, cheaper electricity, and even a new railway linking Vridanup to Parika.
Persons with disabilities. This one is close because, in my family, we have two of them, So I understand what they're going through, how hard it is to survive with $700 Guyana a day. That's what they're receiving. They're receiving $700 Guyana a day, $22,000 per month. But rest assured, you get $50,000 per month. Persons with disabilities will receive $50,000 a month. And also the persons receiving the public assistance grant, you'll get $50,000 a month.
But once again, the details of how any of this would be funded or implemented were vague. He said it was just a glimpse and the full manifesto will be revealed shortly with plans to deal with the Chinese. He claimed VAT would be reduced from 14% and PAYE cut to 20%, all while boasting that he would refuse the presidential salary entirely, donating it to charity instead. But Azruddin doesn't need money, at least not yet. He's a billionaire. But the United States says he acquired his wealth from gold smuggling and corruption and has sanctioned him, his father, and their businesses.
In the manifesto, you'll see we have things in there to address the Chinese. Because you know that this government is very close with the Chinese. And the only person that can represent the people in this country is me. Because no one, absolutely no one can corrupt me. No one can corrupt me.
At the heart of the pitch was the same assertion he had made before, that as a successful businessman, he knows how to get things done. Azruddin told his supporters Wednesday night he's the only one who could bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, fix the housing system overnight, and deliver more disposable income by squeezing out corruption. For the newsroom, Kurt Campbell. 16-year-old Reyna Depeazer has succumbed to her injuries days after she was struck by a stray bullet while leaving a birthday party in East Rheinfeldt, Georgetown on Monday. Her family is demanding a thorough investigation.
Reyna Depeazer, 16, of East La Penitence, Georgetown, is now dead. She was struck to her neck by a stray bullet after a shooting unfolded in Mango Lane, East Rheinfeldt, Georgetown on Monday night. Depeazer had just left a friend's birthday celebration and was heading home. She was taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital and was admitted in the intensive care unit in an unconscious condition. Depeazer died while receiving medical attention on Wednesday afternoon. The incident has left her family devastated. They are demanding a thorough investigation.
All we want is for the police to do their job and do it thoroughly and properly, so we need justice.
Reports are that Depeazer was shot during crossfire after a man allegedly opened fire on a rival gang member in the area. Relatives said that Depeazer had just wrote the CXC examination. They said she was a reserved young woman.
Reyna was a peaceful child. Reyna is an indoor person. She likes to be indoor. Reyna was at a party, a birthday party at that. It's not no dance, it's not at no club, nothing. She was at a birthday party when this incident happened. You understand? Reyna was the most humblest child you guys can think about. Humble, very loving. She just wrote CX and she was inside studying all the time. She didn't want to go outside because I want to do good. I want to focus on my exam. When I'm finished, then anything else could happen. And even when she finished writing exam, that was still her.
A police investigation is ongoing. For the newsroom, Sharda Bacchus.
Marine traffic in Guyana has quadrupled with rapid growth in the past 5 years. President Dr. Irfaan Ali, during a recent business mixer held by the Shipping Association of Guyana, said he has a legislative plan to meet the demands of this growth. The president announced major reforms to revolutionize Guyana's shipping industry, including the introduction of a modern Port Act. Currently, the Shipping Act and the Customs Act, along with other related legislation such as the Transport and Harbors Act, governs various aspects of port operations and marine activities in Guyana.
We're designing a modern Port Act. This legislation will govern the development, regulation, and oversight of port operations in Guyana. It will ensure safety, efficiency, and transparency in the maritime sector. The work to establish an independent port authority is part of this process. The goal is to ensure that oversight, regulation, and operations are managed professionally, independently, and in the best interests of the country. We want our ports to be competitive, reliable, and future-ready. The work of the proposed authority will be supported by modern legislation and regulations aligned with international standards. As a government, we are listening, we're investing, and we're committed to building a shipping and port infrastructure that matches the ambitions of our nation. Together, we can position Guyana as a modern maritime economy. Together, we can ensure that Guyana is not just a dot on the map, but a hub of trade, a gateway to the continent, and a model for the Caribbean.
Longtime climate negotiator André Corrêa do Lago is in Guyana for this country's launch of the Global Biodiversity Alliance. The ambassador is the president of COP30, the next UN climate summit to be held in Belém, Brazil later this year. In an interview with the newsroom's Neil Marks, he spoke about why people are wary of climate negotiations and how Brazil is pushing to involve local people in what happens at the conference.
When you think about COP, you think about nations looking to make the headlines. They come up with these ambitious plans, these ambitious pledges. How are you going to move away from that, given that there's been so much that's been talked about that hasn't been implemented?
Yes, it's true that the process sounds very frustrating, and you're also right that people sometimes go and make a speech and just don't do what they said. But the fact is that there's nothing better to fight climate change than being together under the Paris Accord and the UNFCCC. Why? Because all the decisions that countries take there become somehow international law. So you have to fulfill what you said. And second, because the decisions are by consensus, they are very strong. It's not easy to have decisions by consensus, and many people say that the fact that it is by consensus, in general, we tend to have the lowest common denominator. But it's not necessarily true, and in fact, one of the problems of the COPs is that they communicate very badly how their results are used.
So how are you going to change that?
That's a good question. We are going to try to change that because there are the official negotiations that only countries participate. And there is also the action agenda, which is at the same time and in the same place, but where you have the people that have to implement what was decided. So it's local governments, private sector, universities, NGOs, communities. So in that action agenda, we think there is a potential of enormous strength for the regime. And so that's what we're going to concentrate on.
So if you were to be asked what your priority would be, the thing that you want to achieve from COP30?
Look, I cannot answer to you a specific thing that I want from COP30. But one thing that I would love in COP30 is if climate is included in finance and economics as something that is mainstream and not something that is a niche or a specific thing. I think that we have to mainstream climate in the economy of the countries and in the international finance.
Now, on the COP30 agenda, you have 6 axles, one of them being biodiversity, oceans, and forests. How do you take what is happening here in Guyana at this Global Biodiversity Alliance Summit and take it to COP30?
That's exactly our idea, is that we chose some themes that we already have international agreements about and that were somehow formalized in the global stocktake that happened in Dubai. So in that room where we're going to have many meetings, we are going to be able to talk about initiatives such as this initiative that has a great contribution to the fight against climate change, because now we see much more clearly than 30 years ago when we signed the agreement that biodiversity and climate have to be together.
How do you get the voices of local people, indigenous peoples, others, really involved and really inform decisions that are made at COP30?
Yeah, that's one of the things that President Lula wanted, is that he wants the people from the Amazon to be able to influence the results. So we have created a series of groups to support the presidency. And one of them is, the other side is a circle of ministers of finance, for instance, because we think that it's ministries of finance that should implement the result. But there is also a circle of peoples, and this circle of peoples is a circle that bring together indigenous peoples, Afro-descendant people, and other people that live in the forest to influence the building of the COP, and not only to go to the COP one day and make one speech. No, we want them to participate in the shaping of what we can get.
And finally, I have to ask you, how do you get people to trust you? All of you leaders who sit in that room sometimes make decisions, but they're not implemented, and then we suffer on the ground.
Yeah, we have to reconquer trust. Trust among nations, which is very complicated at the moment, but also trust by the people who look at this and wonders, is it going to go anywhere? So the great priorities of President Lula is first to strengthen the perception that we have to work together. So multilateralism as the way to fight climate change. And second is that we have to translate better to people what these meetings lead to. And because people think that there is no consequence. But for instance, you can easily say that China invested heavily in renewables and in electric cars because of these negotiations, because China understood that it had an amazing economic potential. And China invested in that, and it is responsible for a significant part of the growth of its GDP. So we have to explain better to people, yes, the things that are decided at COPs have an impact in the life of people.
Thank you very much, Ambassador.
Thank you very much.
Still to come, Jagdeo says local banks must protect themselves and Guyana from risk tied to U.S. sanctions. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. Days after one major local bank shut down accounts belonging to candidates on Azruddin Mohamed's political party, Vice President Dr. Jagdeo defended the move, warning that Guyanese banks and the private sector must take U.S. sanctions seriously, a risk being cut off from the global financial system. Speaking at his Thursday press conference, Jagdeo confirmed that former Permanent Secretary May Thomas, who was sanctioned alongside Mohamed by the United States, had also her accounts closed by both Citizens Bank and Republic Bank.
The fact of the matter is that May Thomas accounts were closed by Citizen Bank and Republic Bank. That's the fact of the matter. And the fact is that the banks in Guyana, if they lose two things, access to the SWIFT that allows them to transfer money, or the correspondent, that's a global system, that when the United States wanted to sanction Russia, there was a move to remove them from the SWIFT. It's a code that's used by all banks around the world. Anybody who has to transfer money abroad has to go through that system. If you lose access to that, you might as well shut down the bank. If you lose access to correspondent banking relationship with the US, you might as well shut down the bank. And the banks in the US have been de-risking themselves. A lot of Caribbean countries lost correspondent banking relationship with them because there's something called de-risking. Go and read about it. It's been a global issue. Citibank, we've been trying to get Citibank to come back to Guyana for retail banking. And you know what they said to us? We'll come out of retail banking almost in the entire Latin America and the Caribbean. We're only in Mexico. But we'll come to Guyana and set up a representative office. If you lose correspondent banking relations with the US, or you lose access to the SWIFT, you might as well shut down the bank. You can't function. No, you can't send a wire transfer abroad. How would we pay for our goods and services? You're going to put the money in a bag or get Mohammed to smuggle it out for you? That's what you're going to do, or smuggle the gold out and sell it abroad? That's how you're going to be paying now for goods and services?
With every sale and stock shelf, Dennis Wilson is not just running a shop, but he's building a future. Nestled in the quiet village of Walaba in Region 1, Wilson's grocery business, which started with support from the Low Carbon Development Strategy in 2020, has become a beacon of hope. From humble beginnings to a steady source of income, the father of 8 now uses the profits running.
This business here, I started from the LCS funds. Our money come to $240,000. Business people. We have like 9 business people here, and the rest is housing. I mean, I look at housing, I look at business. But me is one businessman. And from that money, I started this. This is a good vision this government have towards our community here. Because a good vision because in the later down in my early stage of life, when we were young, we never hear about LCDS money. I never hear about that then. I was councillor for this area for 9 years, the city on the border, right? And from then I get to in 2010 and 12 and 14, so I was council for this area. But I resigned, come up on that, so the rest council. So from same then I know about when I used to give those LCD money. From same then I heard, and up from that time to now, it's still going on. We're selling like groceries, like the groceries, right? Groceries, we get like drinks, we get like 1, 2 like clothes in here, and also we're selling like not plenty gasoline, like about 10 gallon gas, just buy the 10 gallon, not plenty. That's with us too. But we sell gas too as well. Most of the groceries we're doing here, selling shops, flour, sugar, rice, and all those stuff. People support me here, and that's the reason why I developing this part, because $240,000 bail up make calculate because we gotta go to charity, and our expenses be a little high. We go charity from here to come back. And so the little while back, we buy our stuff, bring it here, we got a P vehicle bring it here, and those cruiser were bringing those things. Some take like $20,000 from come back to here. People do support me here. They come and because man, not only me one got shop, other people got a little business, small business to run because like me say, we have 9 of us doing the same business, and they get the support as well. Okay, in this area here, like we had like close to 200 people live here in this area, close to 200. From 9 miles to 12 miles every day, every day. It was up like 7 to 8 o'clock in the night. My family big, a big family here. I got 8 children. All right, I'm a married man. So I'm ageable now, and I still doing this because I can't work hard anymore. So I want to thank the government of this Guyana to see us here, in this area here, to support us with this, at least with small business. So that money, I thank God for it. So I can utilize that money to make a family going, and nothing going in the home. Me no skills man. Me no sew. Me no carpentry work. Me can't teach. Me can't all do stuff to get the money when the month come, right? And so when this money come, I raise a hand and I say thank the government for that to make us a little push or start then. Right, start, because we start here. You saw it at this time, that's how we start. And really hope and trust that later on it might come more big because we are too large in this place here. We already started to see some functions here, become more big. But we're waiting for more profit than these things. When the profit coming.
Guyana has switched to the 9-valent HPV vaccine, offering greater protection and improved cancer prevention. This monumental healthcare advancement was launched on Wednesday at the Diamond Regional Hospital.
Guyana switched to the 9-valent human papillomavirus HPV vaccine and officially launched the vaccination program for it at the Diamond Regional Hospital on Wednesday. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony said the vaccine is safe, effective, and longer lasting compared to the one previously distributed.
It protects against 9 of the more common strains that cause cervical cancer, and it is about 90% effective. So moving from the quadrivalent to the 9-valent, it is adding protection.
Cervical cancer is the second most common cancer affecting people in Guyana. Globally, 44,000 deaths are attributed to cervical cancer each year. For this reason, Guyana is intensifying efforts to prevent it. HPV is one of the most common sexually transmitted infections worldwide and is responsible for a range of cancers and warts in both men and women. People aged 9 and older are encouraged to get vaccinated to prevent infection. In 2020, uptake of the vaccine was about 17%. Through several vaccination drives, this has increased to 71%. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, the ideal target is 90%.
This is something that is preventable. And the way we prevent it is to make sure that we get people to take the vaccine. One of the things that people worried about when they get vaccine or they have to go for a vaccine is what would be the side effects of this vaccine. Here, it's very minimal. Like with every other vaccine, at the site of the vaccine, you might get a little bit of redness. Some people might experience a little bit of pain. Some might get a little bit of fever, but that's it. So there's nothing unusual. We bought, as a country, we bought 50,000 doses. If we had to pay $369 US dollars, that probably would have worked out to more than 18 million US dollars, right? And when you do the calculation, we're basically saving close to $17.7 million.
Anyone interested in receiving the vaccine can do so at health centers across the country. Children aged 9 to 15 will receive 2 doses, while those 16 and older will receive 3 doses. Persons who previously received the quadrivalent vaccine can also get this one. Additionally, the Health Ministry has developed a cervical cancer screening program allowing women to access screening services with a voucher from the ministry. For the newsroom, Lazina Yearwood.
A new digital panic button system will soon be implemented to help counter domestic violence. And Minister of Human Services and Social Security Dr. Vindhya Prasad said any endangered person will be located immediately and rescued. She spoke to reporters on the sidelines of an event this week.
This is a button that will be given to women, and it transmits a signal to a tower that is being constructed. That signal will then alert you as to where the person is, and so you can intervene. Currently, we are doing it without that high technology or advanced technology. We're doing it where someone calls 914 and they say, we will go and find that person. But this will give you a geographic location of the person, so your response should be faster. And this has been at work in quite a few countries, notably Mexico, and we've seen a reduction of their spate of violence against women more than 50%. And what they focused on in their structure would have been where there were repeat offenders. And so our structure, we will build it in that way and a little differently as well. We've been testing it actually, and we are going to see if we can also tie into the iMatter app, because that app has also been upgraded. In a few days, you will see us come out in public with what the upgrade is and how people can use that. So it's really pulling all of these things together to have an integrated approach so that the end point of it is to respond quickly. So if something is happening, you don't wait until the worst happens. We deal with it in such a way so that we can maybe save a life. Not maybe, we want to save a life. So that's the end point of it.
Using psychology and the passion for childhood development, Angel Gomes has developed Mind Bloom, a local wellness initiative focused on strengthening emotional well-being and promoting positive parenting. Gomes, a final year student at the University of Guyana, launched this initiative in her community Cummings Lodge, but she hopes passion projects like this can be developed and integrated into schools and communities. Through hands-on workshops and creative tools like the Feelings First Kit, she's helping parents build stronger emotional bonds with their children.
Mind Bloom is a wellness initiative based off of supporting parents and helping children using a holistic approach. Mind Bloom is centered around using culturally sensitive materials and information, but it's backed by research. So it's not a case where I just got up one day and decided, you know what, I'm going to tell parents how to train the children, how to discipline it. This information, the materials that are being used are strictly coming from psychology-based information. And the main thing about Mind Bloom is that when you do a lot of research, you're seeing Western-based information. And we all know that growing up in Guyana is very different from growing up in the US. So to compare that and to use information like that, it's not feasible. So Mind Bloom is hoping that when we have these materials, when we interact with parents, we're using that as a research-based initiative and to grow more with supporting parents and, you know, helping children overall. The information is it's presented in a way that it's not a burden to learn. It doesn't sound like a lecture. It's like I'm having a discussion with a parent and they're so open to it, they want more, and it just gives me more motivation to say, hey, there's something here. Parents are actually very open to learning because, you know, this generation is very different from generations back then. And I think they know that there are tools available, it's just the way to access these tools. And that's where Mind Bloom steps in. A parent would not feel comfortable just, you know, going to a professional and reaching out to this service. And I think Mind Bloom is offering that environment where we establish that your parenting is not right or wrong. There are just some better ways of approaching certain things. And once they have that feeling, they're able to know that there are people out here that are willing to help, listen, and offer a judgment-free zone. Getting involved with Mind Bloom, it's like not only a hobby, but it's a passion. Because like I said, I want this to be established within the government. And the whole idea is not for me to be only running these workshops, but if the government sees interest in this, it's to have licensed psychologists, counselors, social workers being involved in these workshops.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bridge reports along with sport news with Avinash Ramzan. That's it for me, Kirk Campbell. TK.
Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting things off with some aquatic news. Water safety has been placed on the forefront with the hosting of a lifeguard certification course at the National Racquet Center on Wolford Avenue. The one-week course, which has attracted over 40 participants, is being coordinated by the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport and the National Sports Commission in association with the Canadian Life-Saving Society. Delivering feature remarks to officially open the program on Thursday morning, Director of Sport Steve Ninval said the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Charles Ramson Jr., had promised the swimming fraternity such a course, placing water safety on the front burner. Ninval said it is very heartening to see the seminar grow from 15 participants in the inaugural staging in 2024 to as many as 40 this year. The sport director also lauded swimming coach Paul Mahaika for playing a pivotal role in getting the certification course off the ground, working with the ministry and the Sports Commission to ensure qualified personnel came to these shores to share their knowledge and expertise with the locals.
But it just shows how much interest he has in making sure, and the ministry too, because he is a part of the ministry, to make sure that our waterways are safer. Each and every one of you here, when you go back, you will be making the waterways safer in Guyana. And that is what we want. The safer it is, it's the better for us. We need to make sure that our human capital is safe.
Ninval added that the certification will help persons to become more marketable in a rapidly changing Guyana.
Right now, this country is opening several hotels. Many of you can be employed as lifeguards. What we did as what we would have done with the swimming program, there is no registration fee or no fee attached to this. The Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport and the National Sports Commission has removed that, just like we have removed all registration fees from the Teach Them Young program. So this is part and parcel of being caring. This is part and parcel of us investing in our human capital and wanting to see betterment in every sector of sport. And I hope that you will grasp this opportunity. Make sure that you become sponges. Whatever is taught here, even though you may not be able to go back, most of you may not be able to go back and certify persons, you may be able to impart this knowledge. And so you may be able to make a wider community.
Like Tamara Wood and Sarah Newton, examiners and instructors attached to the Canadian Life-Saving Society.
We had a very good experience, like we mentioned, when we arrived last year, and we're so fortunate to be invited back to work with all of you and to share some new skills today and this coming week with some new instructors.
We're really excited that part 2 of this project was able to go forward, and then we know that the group is looking at getting the Guyanese Life-Saving Association back up and running, and we're really happy that you guys are taking those steps, and we are really looking forward to supporting you and in going forward, right, and making sure that the water safety message is coming into Guyana and that the clubs are feeling comfortable and safe, and that Sarah and I are really looking forward to helping you continue to grow this program and keep it up and going.
As part of the course, 8 local persons would be trained as life-saving trainers who would be equipped with the knowledge to upskill other persons in the different aspects of lifeguard training. Reporting for Newsroom, I'm Avanash Ramzan. Some cricket news now. West Indies players Shamar Joseph, Kyle Mayers and Runsford Beaton are among a group of talented cricketers set to feature in Super Sunday in the Essequibo zone of the Cares 1 Guyana T10 Tapeball Blast this weekend. We have the details from Akeem Green.
Beaton, who played 2 one-day internationals for West Indies, will lead Avinash All-Stars. The All-Stars will have the big hitting all-rounder from Barbados and West Indies player Kyle Mayers in their ranks, along with talented players such as Thaddeus Lovell, who hails from Essequibo, along with Carlos LaRose, Ashwin Ned and Stephen Sankar. The other heavyweights on paper would be 2024 national semi-finalist Ahmadiyya Movement's family, who have in their ranks West Indies pace sensation Shamar Joseph. Joseph was a key figure in the success of the inaugural champions, Eccles All-Stars, in 2023, and certainly adds potency to Madia, who will call upon other seasoned campaigners such as Ricardo Adams, Irshad Ali, Daniel Sigobin, and Serge Tanay. While on paper, those two teams may pique the interest of title contenders in the zone, as Kim, through the Order 14 squad, breeds life of young and promising talents from Essequibo, such as Jatalian Norris for Essequibo Jaguars and the young Ronaldo Jeffrey for Bartica Royals, among others. Instead of the initially scheduled Saturday and Sunday, all of the action will be on Sunday, with the hunt to crown the final zone champion ending on the lights. Montreal Jaguars for Barbees, Eccles All-Stars to the East Bank and Western Morales zone, and then recently Titans All-Stars, East Coast and Georgetown are the three zone champions, and attention is now on who will fill the final spot. Matches in Essequibo will be at Pomona, Richmond Ball Field, Hampton Court, and also the Anna Regina Ground. The participating teams for Essequibo Zone are Rural Night Riders, Team Evolution, Team Royals, Renaissance Cricket Club, United Crew, Mali Movements Family, Matarkai CPG, Bartica Royals, Maruku Super Strikers, Queenstown, Aerial 11, Inevitable 11, Avinash All-Stars, and Essequibo Jaguars. Adding to the excitement is that admission is free to all venues and matches will commence at 9 hours on Sunday.
Ben Stokes' first 5-wicket haul in 8 years and a dizzying opening partnership gave England much the better of the second day of the fourth test against India at Old Trafford. Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett flayed some wayward Indian bowling at a rate of more than 5 runs and over in their stand of 166, taking a huge chunk out of the tourist 358. For Crawley, 84 on the ground, he made his career highlight 189 against Australia 2 years ago, was a welcome contribution. Duckett, who many believe is a premier opener in the world, crunched 94. Though they fell in the space of 2 overs, Oli Pope and Joe Root were able to take England to 225 for 2, 133 runs behind. Stokes claimed 3 of the 6 Indian wickets to fall on Thursday to end with 5 for 72, while Jofra Archer continued his comeback with 3 for 73. England were superb with the ball, though they were partly held up by the bravery of Rishabh Pant. Pant retired on day 1 with a suspected broken foot after being struck by Chris Wokes. In scenes of high drama, he hobbled down the stairs to resume his innings on 37 and nudged his way to 54 before Archer spectacularly uprooted his off-stump. David Finance, president of the Guyana Squash Association, is elated that his junior troops recently regained the Caribbean title and is confident they can extend another title run. However, while the juniors are blessed with talent, Finance wants to see them push to achieve success at the Pan-American level. He's also adamant that a strong junior program bodes well for the seniors.
I think we have the ability, once they keep working hard and not let up, that we could have a little bit of a run again at winning the overall for a few years. But I must say that the other teams are also working hard. So we being pushed, we pushing them as well. And I really think that the next challenge for us is to start targeting junior Pan Am tournaments and actually competing against even higher level athletes where these things in collaboration with the government and the GOA and the sponsors that we have is critical for the exposure for us to carry the kids to the next level so that we could once again have as talented youths as Nicolette Finance was when she was playing in the professional leagues, and you know, hopefully in the next 5 years or so we could have 1 or 2 youngsters competing at that level.
And finally, on a sad note, pro wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, whose charisma and shirt-ripping showmanship brought professional wrestling to new heights of mainstream popularity, died on Thursday in Florida, officials said. He was 71. Clearwater police and firefighters rushed to his home to answer a cardiac arrest call at 9:51 a.m., according to a city statement. First responders then took him to Morton Plant Hospital, where he was pronounced dead, the statement added. Hogan earned fame for his theatrical wrestling performances, but became a household name after making appearances in several films and television shows. He famously appeared in the 3rd installment of the Rocky film franchise, in which he took on the title character played by Sylvester Stallone in a fight between wrestler and boxer. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, newsroom.gy, and all social media platforms. On behalf of the entire news team, I am Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. Be safe. See you next time.